couple more names just to sort of touch upon in the midfield department, potentially. Ryan Gravenberch. Now, this is a name who's been linked a lot with Liverpool again. I know he spoke yesterday about being a preference to stay in Bayern Munich, but he did also caveat that by saying, I want more football. Again, this one feels to me a little bit like Lavia in many senses, that it's kind of out of our hands, but if the ducks fall in a row, Liverpool will swoop potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with this one, it very so much rides on the conversation he's ultimately going to have with Thomas Tuchel about what his plans for him are next season. That's the key factor here. And when we report, for example, that Liverpool are taking stock at the moment, and people get frustrated. Okay, well, why haven't they got the targets? Why don't they know? Why aren't they moving quickly all the time? But there are things you can't control, and this is a really good example of them with Gravenberch, is that he doesn't know whether he's going to be playing at Bayern next season, and if he isn't, he's going to demand to leave. So once that conversation is had, then Liverpool could maybe make the move if it falls on the side of Tuchel, maybe saying I don't see you as a major starter next season. Then he will want to make the move to Anfield, and I think Liverpool will want to hold on there as well, because Gravenberch isn't just some midfielder who they admire. They've liked him for a long time. They obviously know that statistically fit the profile in terms of what they need in certain position in midfield, and it would be really ideal signing for them. I think they were quite gutted to miss out on him when he went to Bayern. So I think hanging on there and seeing if you can do that deal sort of makes sense for someone who you think is so ideal for you. So I think that's again, just one you've got to hang in there and see what his conversations with the Bayern manager end up producing, and then maybe he ends up at Anfield, because I think it would get to the stage, I think, if Bayern told him that he wasn't going to be playing a significant role next season, then I think he will be all over a move to Liverpool, because he's fully aware of the fact that they really like him and they've got an obvious role for him as well. So I think it's just one you've got to keep an eye on and sort of see how it plays out. But hopefully that conversation between him and his manager happens sooner rather than later, and Liverpool can get a resolution on that, because that will either be, yes, we're going in for Gravenberch, we know how much we've got to pay, or it'll be, okay, let's move on to the next target.
Yeah, absolutely. Liverpool will be pushing for that conversation to happen quite quickly, I would imagine, to be honest, because, like you say, we're not going to want to wait around. I actually think he's a player worth waiting for, but there's a cut-off to that point, like you say. We can't be having this conversation in a month's time and be like, I wonder what's happening to Gravenberch. That just can't be the case. But to the point as well, I make you right about stylistically. I think he's not too far removed from Jude Bellingham, who obviously we absolutely adored. So having courted him for a while, he's going to know we want him. We've done business with Bayern Munich, obviously in the very recent past. So who knows? That could well come to fruition. One final one in terms of potential incomings. It's an interesting name. It's a name that doesn't seem to be going away, actually. It's Gabri Veiga from Celta Vigo. Now, so young, had a brilliant season in La Liga. And a lot of these signings are very young. So just on Veiga, do you think there is a genuine interest there from Liverpool? And do you think this policy, or this apparent policy of going for such young, fresh blood, if you like, in many senses, do you think that's a wise one from the Reds?
Yeah, so Gabri Veiga, I know that there is some interest there. Liverpool have watched him closely. I know they've had scouts there watching him basically all season, and you look at the numbers he's been putting up this season for a Celta side who have been sort of more towards the bottom of the league and at threat of relegation is pretty impressive. He's clearly a really talented young player, but I think it'll be interesting to see whether he is sort of viewed as an alternative to, say, Gravenberch in terms of that number 8 who can push on and score goals from time to time. That's where it's hard to sort of pick apart really exactly how he's viewed by the recruitment staff, whether he is right high up there or whether it's like, if we can't get Gravenberch, he would be a really good alternative. It's really sort of difficult to pick that apart, really. But I know for a fact he's on the list and definitely someone they like. Again, that wouldn't be a particularly difficult deal to do, it looks like, because he's got a release clause. So Liverpool know exactly what they'll need to do there. So it's just one we're going to have to watch to see how it plays out. But I think, in terms of his age and his profile, he's on the younger side of things. I think what Liverpool are looking for at the moment really is you've got McAllister in now, who is bang just at the start of his peak now, so that's ideal. And then what you get in next is, you don't want someone who is sort of similarly aged to maybe a Harvey Elliott. Do you want someone who's a little bit more advanced than that? And I think you look at Thuram, he's in that age bracket, just again, just maybe just short of his peak, just coming towards it. And I think they want that sort of nice age mix in the midfield, and to bring that back, because I think that's something Liverpool have really suffered with in recent years. Midfield got sort of old together, and the ones who were in the peak age, which was Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita, had real fitness problems and weren't really in the manager's plans. So they're just trying to rejig that now, and hopefully what will happen and what we'll be looking at the end of this summer is a sort of a refreshed age profile in that midfield that's got real balance. Yes, some youth in it. Stefan Bajcetic, for example, I think he's going to play a really big role next season. Elliott as well, but also that real experience and some peak age players, as well as then your Jordan Henderson, who can come in from time to time and really contribute. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, I think you're right. There does need to be more of a balance there, because last season the midfield was just catastrophic, quite frankly, wasn't it? And even the players who should still be in the prime, like Fabinho, I think just through sheer amount of football he played the year early, his legs fell off essentially. But again, I still hold out hope that the likes of Fabinho, even Thiago to a lesser extent, and Jordan Henderson, when called upon this coming season, provided that the right players are already in place, these signings that we're talking about, likes of Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, etc., they'll be better players for it. They'll be able to play better football because of playing less.
I think it's no coincidence that, the games where Thiago and Fabinho and Henderson looked their best was when they had some more energy around them. Like, for example, when Bajcetic was coming in and he was absolutely everywhere, and getting legs around these players, these experienced players, can really you can get more years out of them. I'm also hoping, Fabinho is a good example. I think he's the one who should still have a lot more to give. I'm hoping a good summer's rest, hopefully for him, come back in a full pre-season and not that disturbance of the World Cup in the middle as well. Hopefully that, you will see a big improvement for him. Henderson's minutes being managed, which is needed I think it needed to happen last season. That they needed to get ahead of that, and they didn't. And the same with Thiago, really, is almost use him as a luxury player and not someone you're reliant on completely. But when he can come in, he's absolutely fabulous footballer, isn't he? So hopefully that, managing their minutes a little bit with some really top class additions will just make a really nice midfield mix for Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, absolutely. If you could drop someone of the class of Thiago in as and when you choose, instead of needing him to play 6 games, and you can almost see his power bar going down by the 6th game, and you think, oh, he's getting injured here. And if you can drop him in as and when you want, you're onto something pretty good. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed that little snippet of my conversation with the brilliant David Lynch. If you want to watch the rest, where we talk about all the possible incomings and indeed outgoings from Liverpool Football Club this summer, head over to Redmen Plus now and you'll find the show there. Hey, our 3-part documentary series, Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, is being released this June. And if you head to redmenplus.com and sign up, you're going to get early access to episode 1, exclusive access to episodes 2 and 3, and you're also going to get the full interviews with all of the contributors, including Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, Ian Rush, and so many more as well. Head to redmenplus.com.